Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. A great way to support the show is do what Charlene Bronzale did and go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood, where you can send a topic or an article like this. This is a video from this YouTube channel called Abandon, but it talks about this big casino in Atlantic City. All this money got dumped into it. It's like a 16-minute video. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it involves Chris Christie. Oh, he's got COVID. Thoughts and prayers. It's just another example of just rampant corruption. It doesn't matter which party. It really doesn't. Oh, no. Ah, I clicked the wrong button. God damn, that drives me insane when I do that.
/Brights on Films, or click the link in the description below. It all started in 2006 when the investment bank Morgan Stanley purchased a 20-acre parcel of land adjacent to the Showboat Hotel and Casino. They spent around $70 million on it with the hope to build a massive and world-renowned casino resort. They placed an industry executive by the name of Kevin DeSantis in charge of developing this ambitious plan, and by mid-2007, Morgan Stanley announced their official plans for what they intended to do at the site. This included two massive...
Just real clear here, Morgan Stanley, one of the big financial firms that was involved in creating the financial collapse in 2008, wanted to get $70 million. They paid $70 million for a parcel of land to build this mega casino in 07, 06, 07. Just giving you some timeline.
700-foot hotel towers, which were comprised of over 4,000 rooms. This sat above a huge casino with parking space for around 7,000 cars. This was obviously ambitious, especially for the time, as these towers would have been the tallest in all of New Jersey. So eventually later that year, the project was scaled back to just one hotel tower for now, with an opening date of 2010. It was called the Revel Casino Hotel. Construction broke ground in late 2007 and went vertical by early 2008. However, those dates are probably sounding a little tedious to all of you. 2008 wasn't exactly the best year to be building a luxury, massive casino, as the United States was facing a detrimental recession. Atlantic City was instantly put in a dreadful situation as consumers weren't spending as much excess income there. And by early 2009, funding for construction was quickly running out, which led to thousands of workers being laid off. Progress then slowed just as the tower was topping out. Suddenly, the Revel appeared to be not such a great idea as the shining tower rose above a now depressed area. By April of 2010, in a shocking move, Morgan Stanley decided to pull out of the project after investing over $1.2 billion. They decided to take a $900 million loss rather than spend the additional $1 billion it would take to finish the project. Because of this, Revel was put in a precarious situation as the half-finished casino was left in limbo. This prompted the remaining developers to scramble, trying to find the necessary funding to keep the construction going. But in a move which, for those of you who watched my American Dream Mall video may find, similar, let's say, New Jersey's then Governor Chris Christie had stepped in and announced his state government would be providing $260 million in financing. So now, with the state backing this resort, Revel had refined their project, now canceling the planned second tower and scaling back their hotel rooms to just 1,000. Actually, that second tower was already being built when the developers had canceled it. In early construction photos, you can actually see vertical construction on it alongside Tower 1. However, once it was abandoned, the already built structure was just topped off just a few floors high, and the planned rooms just became other spaces. So now as you look at the building from certain angles, it clearly shows that a second tower was already somewhat built before it was abruptly canceled. Morgan Stanley eventually sold their stake for just $30.
And just to clarify, Chris Christie, then governor, put in $260 New Jersey taxpayer dollars. But how are we going to pay for it? And oh boy, you guys want socialism, and oh man. but we got money for a casino in the middle of a recession. Interesting.
$1 million on March 2nd, 2011, and a day later, construction had finally resumed. The dormant site once again sprung to life, and now with consistent progress, an opening date was announced for April 2nd, 2012. Finally, after 6 years of development, the Revel Casino Hotel, Atlantic City, officially opened to the public. The resort had so far cost $2.4 billion to get the doors open. However, that's not to say what they finished wasn't good quality. The resort itself was modern and aesthetically pleasing, with wide-open concourses, great views from the many hotel rooms, and lots of amenities. However, on the casino side of things, it ranked almost at the bottom of Atlantic City's 12 major casinos in terms of winnings. Revel had a pretty lackluster grand opening, yet officials and politicians celebrated the 10,000 new jobs the resort created. Governor Christie said in the official press release for the opening, quote, "The completion of Revel and its opening is a turning point for Atlantic City and a clear sign that people once again have faith in the city's ability to come back and be successful." Revel was often thought to be the saving grace for the city, a luxury resort to start a new chapter for the area. However, in reality, Revel's financial situation told an entirely different story. By the second quarter of 2012, the resort lost more than $35 million, which was preceded by an even worse third quarter loss of $37 million. By November, casino officials were throwing up the red flags of a potential bankruptcy, just as Atlantic City claimed Revel failed to pay $12 million in property taxes. They also still owe.
So I just want you to be clear, Morgan Stanley and Chris Christie are really the welfare moms, right? We always say, oh, they don't pay their taxes and these socialists, nobody wants to work, right? Remember Steve Mnuchin just said, like, last month or whatever, oh, I don't want to give people unemployment and it's an incentive not to work. These big corporations, record profits, they take their profits, put them into this building, bail, it costs money. Then they have all these losses each quarter. I don't want to pay my taxes. And you see these big corporations and these pundits on TV like, oh, these people want to do rent strikes. They don't want to pay their rent. Well, why do I have to pay rent? Morgan Stanley. Why should I have to pay? Why should any of us have to pay taxes this year? Amazon never pays taxes. Morgan Stanley didn't have to pay taxes to Atlantic City, a city that was starving in the middle of a recession. Huh. Good. Nice. This isn't just like the poster child for everything that's wrong with like capitalism, a casino, right?
Over $50 million to independent contractors. Despite securing over $100 million in long-term loans, the resort still couldn't keep up with the massive amounts of money they were losing. By February of 2013, just 10 months after opening, Revel had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. They were over $1.5 billion in debt.
People thought I was selling drugs. I was feeling...
This is an ad. So I wanted to show you that because how does that relate to today? Well, it relates to today because it just shows you the rampant corruption. Morgan Stanley puts all this money in. And this happens, like this kind of stuff happens all the time with developers or big stadiums, all this team, and they want public money to pay for it. And they're like, we're opening this anyway. And then Chris Christie goes, yeah, let's open a casino in the middle of a recession. And it kept losing money and it didn't pay its taxes. So let this be a very valuable lesson. When right now we're seeing all these companies needing stimulus money to be propped up and bailed out. And they always say, but jobs, jobs, jobs. Okay, I'm all for the federal government propping up some companies, so big jobs, but this rarely happens, right? The airlines got a bunch of stimulus money and they're still laying off employees. If they got all that stimulus money and then no one in the airline industry, no one lost their job, okay. I know some people. I know a flight attendant who was like, several flight attendants actually who were like, man, we were furloughed until June and then we didn't know. And one of them's like, I'm looking for a job at Amazon, working for one of the major airlines. I know like 3 or 4 flight attendants at 3 or 4 different airlines. But wait a minute. I thought these airlines all got big stimulus dollars. I have some sympathy to the travel industry because, look, I travel for a living, and I calculated at one time, for me, one comedian to go on the road, it impacts about in the neighborhood of about 70 different jobs. From the person driving me to the airport and Lyft, the baggage staff at the airport, the ground crew, the flight crew, the baggage people, and then when the plane lands, the people at the new airport, and then the rental car people, and the hotel, and the people that work the comedy club. So I calculated it. It's roughly 70 jobs. So I understand that nobody's traveling right now and it's really hard. But if you're going to give stimulus money, it better not go in the CEO's pockets. Those CEOs better take a pay cut. That never happens though, right? Chris Christie spent $260 million taxpayer dollars for that. And okay, I see what he's trying to do. All right, it's going to bring 10,000 jobs to Atlantic City in the middle of a recession. Okay. All right, I get that, but then it never pays out because these big corporations, they don't pay their taxes. So Chris Christie spent $260 million taxpayer dollars. I'm sure thinking, well, Morgan Stanley is going to pay me a bunch of taxes. We're going to get tens of millions of dollars back in taxes, plus the sales tax on all the transactional revenue that'll happen on this property. Theoretically, this fancy new property will bring people to Atlantic City, which sales tax, hotel room taxes, rental car taxes, all those extra little taxes, especially when you travel, you see all these little extra taxes, right? So I bet you he was thinking, well, I'll get a lot of this money back. This $260 million, we'll get a lot of it back. And we'll keep, we'll create 10,000 jobs. I see how that could work on paper, but it never does. Because the big corporations, the system is rigged in their favor. And now this hotel is completely abandoned. If you watch the end of the video, the hotel is completely abandoned. There's nobody there. That channel is all about abandoned. It's all about abandoned videos or abandoned spaces. That's what it does. That whole hotel, or that whole it's an abandoned, and it's a Bright Sun Films is the channel. But let's watch just a touch more. I want to show you a little more here, just to illustrate the point that I'm making.
Had dropped from almost $2.5 billion to now just $450 million. They also revealed that their current trajectory, they wouldn't be profitable until 2017. The resort had ultimately not found any way out of their dire situation, and after a second bankruptcy petition in August of 2014, Revel announced that no buyers were found to bail the hotel out of its debt, and unbelievably, they added that the Revel Hotel and Casino would close on September 2nd, 2014, just 2.5 years after opening. So in early September, the Revel closed alongside 3 other major casinos in Atlantic City. Now the biggest question was, what was going to happen to the almost brand new mega hotel? Glenn Straub, a developer, decided to bid on the project and eventually won, taking control under his golf course company. So in early 2015, he purchased Revel for just $82 million. That's just 3.4% of what it costs to build. Straub renamed the complex to Polo North and claimed the hotel and casino would be open for business by the summer. During this time, the city had actually cut power and water to the building for around 20 days, as the energy companies were engaged in a fee dispute, all while the mega hotel and casino sat empty and now abandoned. Through the rest of 2015, the property was only allowed cold running water and was eventually threatened by the local sewage company to withhold their dumping privileges. Glenn, however, had high hopes for his hotel, stating in early 2016 that the resort would be reformatted into a family entertainment destination, which would also now feature a water park. He also put a new opening date on the table for June of that year. For being abandoned going on almost 2 years at this point, the building itself was apparently in pretty good condition. This was likely because critical engineering staff was kept running the building, keeping it up so major damage wouldn't be inflicted. But all of that came at a cost. They were supposedly spending around $1 million every month just on maintenance. Strab had apparently ensured everything was ready to go, but as summer 2016 came and went, Polo North never opened. Later that year, Glenn revised his intended opening date for now early 2017 and announced a new name for the resort, 10 Atlantic City. However, as you probably guessed, it never opened. After empty promises and little hope from the public, the resort was sinking further and further back into debt. Rumors then began circulating that 10 was seeking a buyer and that its current owners didn't even have the means to open it. Finally, on January 8th, 2018, those rumors had actually turned out to be true when it was announced that a company called AC Ocean Walk would acquire the resort for around $200 million. And now, finally, someone was serious about opening this property back up. AC announced that their company would invest another $175 million to bring the abandoned and slowly decaying structure back up to a presentable state for opening. Finally, the hotel was renamed for the last time to the Ocean Resort Casino. And after almost 4 years of sitting empty and effectively abandoned, the not-so-new resort reopened on June 27th, 2018. The hotel opened with over 100,000 square feet of gaming, 19 restaurants, 6 bars, and a full spa. The property also boasts an expansive set of common areas, lobbies, and conference rooms. Most of the original decor, however, is unchanged from the original Revel Hotel, most notably in the guest rooms, as they're pretty much the exact same as they were in the original. Overall, the entire structure is around 6.3 million square feet, which is almost the same size as the Pentagon, so it's pretty large. When I visited, I actually didn't know what to expect, and when I first entered, I was taken back by how actually massive the facility is.
So they finally figured it out, but just what a boondoggle waste. And of course, public taxpayers got screwed. Now, the casino, since it's been open, is it doing? I don't know. It's obviously closed again now because of COVID. I mean, I'm sure maybe they tried to reopen it, but oh my goodness. Thank you, Charlene, for submitting this story to us to just show you guys how this happens, and pay attention because more stories like this are going to be happening. All these big I'm seeing it in Los Angeles, all these big developer projects stopped construction when COVID. Now they're kind of open, kind of not. And this kind of stuff is going to be happening all over the country now. And be careful because they're going to be taking stimulus money and taxpayer money, and local governments are going to try to kick in and all this stuff. But if there's a big corporation involved like Morgan Stanley, you know, they lost some money on that deal. Boy, thoughts and prayers for Morgan Stanley. So what happened back then is going to be happening again now. Pay close attention. Thanks for watching. Support the show like Charlene does at patreon.com/Graham Elwood. You get to submit articles like that. You get bonus content for as little as $2 a month. You get early access to the podcast and the archived live streams. Also, you can support us at rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. I do a members-only premium live stream on Monday nights on 8 p.m. Pacific on Rockfin. Also, the Political Vigilante podcast is available on iTunes and Spotify. Check that out. And You can support me at Venmo at Graham-Elwood. I have a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com, and I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet, all in the show notes below. And also, if you sign up with my Coinbase link, which is in the show notes below, and put $100 in crypto through Coinbase using my link, you get $10 in free Bitcoin, and I get $10 in free Bitcoin. So we both win. Thank you for supporting the show. You're making Gotham great again.